Thank you. Mike Rutherford, Phil Collins, Tony Banks, welcome. Nice to see you here. The end of, well, almost the end of 10 months on the road and literally touring the world, but not the sort of tour of the world that most people do, going in one direction like that. You've been zigzagging all over the place, haven't you?
Yeah, they tend to sort of try and make it work in one direction as much as possible, but we've been across the Atlantic, God knows how many times. We've been to America 5 times, I think.
10 months on the road is an extremely long time for anybody, no matter what business you're in, but you're doing all these performances that go with that as well. 6 nights a week in some places?
Yep, but I mean, it's like, you're making it sound tough, and it is, but it's like all these things, you get in the swing of it, and it becomes easier. I mean, the first week on the road is always hard, but by the time you're going for 10 months, it's, the travelling side isn't that hard.
You are the living cliche, if you'll pardon me saying that.
Well, good night.
You are the supergroup. I mean, people talk of supergroups, and here is a supergroup sitting right here. You don't necessarily dress like a supergroup or anything like that. You seem to behave a fairly normal lifestyle. But a supergroup is what? What is your definition of your life?
Well, if we're one, we give a bad name to supergroups, I think. I don't know, a definition of supergroups aren't the Beatles to me. I can't see us in that sort of light at all. We're just sort of, you know, I think it's always somebody else. Whoever you are, you'll always think it's somebody else. Mm.
You mentioned the Beatles, because that's how it all started. I don't know if you've worked it out. It's about 25 years ago next year when you put your first band together at Charterhouse School?
Well, you're going back quite a bit, I think. No, we made our first single about 19 years ago, I think. And we were playing in groups before that at school, but I mean, you know.
Was it the Beatles that started you all off and made you want to be rock stars?
Definitely. In my case, I think, yeah.
I think in all of our cases, it's...
Why did you want to be a rock star? What was the attraction?
They were called pop stars then. It was all, if you remember, in those days it was...
A pop group?
It was all, yes, pop group and pop music. It was the most exciting thing I'd ever heard, actually. First heard the early Beatles stuff on the radio.
So you wanted to play music rather than actually just be up on the stage and have people applauding you. You actually wanted just to play the music and get on with it.
I think at the early stage, you don't actually think what you're going to do. You just want to be part of the whole thing. You don't think you want to actually be there up on stage or you make records. You just actually want to do it, really.
Now, another statistic, because your first album sold how many copies? 649 copies?
630 of those in his garage, is it? Gathering dust in his garage.
And we're now looking at the latest one, which is the 14th album, and it's just past 10 million sales.
You can talk to our publicist again.
I know all the facts and figures. I've got a lot of them sitting at home, a lot of these albums. But the way your lifestyle must have changed from those early days of not being able to sell many albums. You probably didn't recoup the production costs on the albums at 640. And now these million sellers, 10 million sellers. How has life changed for the three of you?
Well, I mean, it sounds, I suppose, it's supposed to have changed a lot more than it has. I mean, of course, you know, I mean, we don't fight over green short stamps like we used to. Which we used to, didn't we?
We used to.
We used to.
Share cups of tea too, I remember that one.
Six books will get you a tea set, but that doesn't happen quite so often. But no, to be honest, I mean, I don't think you ever feel that it's not a sudden thing, so you never feel that that change has happened. I mean, for us in the early days, selling out the Marquee Club in Wardour Street was the pinnacle. That's about the best you could possibly get. And now, you know, filling Wembley for 4 nights is, next year it'll be like, I wonder if it could do 5 nights, or maybe it'd be different. You know, I'm not saying that next time we go out on the road it would necessarily have to be bigger and better, because I think if anything it would be a smaller tour. But you know, you never feel that it's happening suddenly. It's always very, very gradual.
Whenever people talk about rock stars, they always talk about the money that they earn. And I'm not going to be any different. You must be immensely wealthy. I was trying to work out what you would have
Thanks,
made.
Mike.
Yes.
But what do you do with it all? I mean, Mick Jagger buys islands and
It isn't
Rod
quite
Stewart buys wives.
You've been reading those papers again, haven't you?
What?
Those daily papers again.
You mean that
No, I've
wanker
been
John
paying
Blake?
the price for the album, Mike.
I mean, no, listen, we've done fantastically well. I think we're extremely overpaid. People do forget we never did it for those reasons in the first place, and we still don't, but it's one of those things, it's such a gradual thing, and you don't realise your lifestyle has changed, because it happens over a period of sort of 18 years.
Yes, while we're on the subject of this, I'm going to take you up on this. No, it was reported recently in a very large-selling newspaper that we were going to come out of this tour with an estimate of £30 million each. Right. Now, the figure was got at by multiplying one concert at Wembley, the gross for one concert at Wembley. That is not without any expenses or anything. One gross at Wembley by 112 shows, which is what we've done since last September. Now, we've only done probably the 4 nights at Wembley are the only nights we've ever hit that kind of gross. And early in September last year, we were playing arenas, 15, 16,000 seater arenas. So there's nothing like that kind of gross every night. And that is without any expenses. And yet someone, this guy goes and multiplies the gross by 112 nights, comes up with the figure, divides it by 3 and says that's what we're earning. It's a total joke. I mean, it's completely out of realistic, not unrealistic completely.
Does the money get to a point, though, that you're earning, does it get to a point where it becomes a problem, that you don't enjoy having it? Because a few people, if you want to give a bit out here tonight as you go out, that'd be all right. But does it become a problem? You've got to manage it, haven't you?
Well, what to do with it? I mean, I suppose you've got to do something with it. I mean, I've always believed in saving it for a rainy day, I mean, that's the way I've always lived my life. Just sort of, you don't really sort of sit and look at it. If you want to buy something, I suppose you think twice about it, because that's I think, depending on who you talk to, it's in my nature to always be pretty careful about what I buy.
Now, there's 3 very different guys sitting here, and 2 of you from public school backgrounds. Phil, you came into it later on. That's the story of Genesis. Peter Gabriel is off and doing his own thing now. What is keeping Genesis, this threesome here today, in fact, the fivesome, because you've got 2 other musicians who work with you on stage at the concerts. What keeps you together?
Well, I think what keeps us together more than anything is that we like each other. And, very much. No. And the writing, obviously, is the thing. When we get into a studio or rehearsal room together, we just feel that what we do is something that we can't do with anyone else, And the advantage of knowing each other for 20 years or whatever is that you can play unself-consciously together and get the results. Works well.
You're telling me there's never an argument and never a crossword in this relationship?
Oh, never.
There has been. There used to be in the old days. Christ, there used to be some silly fights. I mean, really, things about, if you look at it, back at it now, you'd laugh. But now, I don't know. There doesn't seem to be, there's friction, I guess, musically, but I mean, we're all responsible for what we write, because we have a blank sheet of paper when we go in and write the albums. We're responsible for what we do. So, of course, we have discussions as about which way songs could go. And, they can get heated discussions, but we actually, considering how long we've been together, we actually enjoy each other's company. We do a lot of laughing when we're working together.
What would be the biggest source of disagreement amongst the 3 of you?
It's only ever about say you're arranging a song and someone says, try this, and you say, try that. But it's not like it used to be. We sort of used to make a stand in the old days and fight for what we thought was right. Nowadays we kind of say, well, let's try it. And if it's good, we'll use it. If not, we won't. I think really one of the things that helped us a lot is doing stuff outside the group, because you kind of have a break from each other.
Right.
So when you're working together, it's because you look forward to it and you want to do it.
You must now be heading towards one of those breaks. 10 months on the road and all these gigs. Apparently you played to 3 million people at 112 concerts, as you were saying.
30 million quid each.
That makes... But you must now be heading towards a break from each other. Is it a break that will repair again in the future? You're going to go off and do separate things and come back together again in the future?
I mean, I think we tend to see it that we're in Genesis and then we go and do stuff outside Genesis, and we don't make sort of plans in quite the way people expect us to. We're going to have a break now, and we probably won't even fix what we're going to do next as a group. But we'll go off and do stuff, and then we all live close and we'll stay in touch. And we're kind of, in a year or two, you kind of start talking about it. Because you want to do it, you're sort of ready for it. Rather than that's because of what you do and go straight into it.
And Phil, you've got the film career picking up again towards the end of this year. You're making Buster with Julie Walters?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a career yet. We'll wait and see how I do on the first one. I mean, I didn't really ever want to do anything more with acting, but Miami Vice came along, and I really enjoyed that. And it kind of made me think twice about maybe trying to do something in that area, because I did it when I was a teenager. And this particular script came along, and I thought it was great. And Julie Walters doing it as well, who I'm a big fan of, and she's lovely. So hopefully that will be good. And if I'm good at it, I may try it again later. But it's really just something at the right time, the right place. So we've done the Genesis tour, the Genesis album. Before that was my album and Clapton album and stuff like that. So it's just a break from music for me. Wouldn't be a bad thing. Wouldn't be a bad thing for everybody else as well.
Well, look, good luck at Wembley this week. I know you've got 4 nights coming up. Still some tickets left on one of the nights.
Friday night, yeah.
Friday night's got some tickets left. it's going to be some spectacular concerts there, I know. There's only one thing left before you go tonight, and that is you do owe me 24 pence from the busking outside this afternoon.
Well,
Like royalty, no cash.
no cash, man.
Genesis, Mike Rutherford, Phil Collins, Tony Banks, thank you very much indeed. Well,